You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is August 20th, 2021. Well, now that we're emerging from the recent health emergency, hopefully, I think there's an argument to be made. Variations, things will happen, but I think we're heading hopefully in the right direction. We'll know more soon. The question is, you're a business person. You've had disruptions due to these issues. And where do we go to next? Well, our good friend, Paul Mendocha, is with us now. And John, it's great to have you back. So this is exactly the kind of thing that you specialize in, which is finding the way ahead when the waters are uncertain, when the issues, the economics, everything else is uncertain. Where do you go? And what are you telling your clients now?
Kerry, it's great to be back. I really appreciate being on your show. Let's talk about the things that need to be done and need to be done today. Mistakes that people make is that they lose contact with their customers. They get enveloped by all of the problems of the day. They have this kind of distraction factor, and we need to go back and we need to touch those people who are our customers. The other thing is that we need a very clear message. We need a clear positioning statement to the marketplace that we are, in fact, moving forward, that we are ready to do business, that we can accomplish things out in the market. What you'll discover is that there is a lot of chatter out there. And because there's a lot of chatter, it really is counterproductive to add to that. So what I say is take the antidote, and the antidote is talk about what you can do for customers and move forward that way today.
All right. So everybody's been really distracted by the events of the past year and a half. So it's one thing to say that, but how do you actually do it?
Well, the first step is that you have to get a very clear message. And that message has to be something that has the sense that you are available today to help them solve problems. And I'm not talking about this bigger malaise problems, but I'm talking about whatever specifically you do. So what you have to do is you have to have a very clear message, and you have to now figure out how many ways to deliver it. One of the challenges we have today, of course, is that with all of the various social media outlets, with all the various mechanisms, is where do your customers live? Where do they get their information from? And the only way you're going to know that is by touching those customers. Kerry, it used to be easy. It used to be, we would either put something in the mail. I mean, for some of you, you may need to Google if this was snail mail, or you could call them on the phone, or you could go visit them. And that was it. That was the three things. Well, we now have a giant explosion that has happened, and it continues to explode. So find out which way to get in touch with customers. In fact, one of the best things that I've got going with customers today is I have a group of customers who we actually have put together a Slack channel. Normally, this is for internal communications. We have a Slack channel, and it's interesting because we're getting great feedback from the Slack channel from these clients who've now become just raving fans. And that's because they feel like they're part of this smaller tribe, this smaller community.
Yeah, so tell us about that. So I guess what you're saying is it's time to reconnect, both with our friends, our business associates, our employees, everybody else. So how do you do that with a Slack channel?
So what you do is you get, first off, you need to learn a little bit about Slack. And Slack is one of those things that can get complicated fast. But what you want to do is you want to start inviting your best customers to learn about Slack. And what's the benefit for them for doing this? Well, first off, they're going to hear information that is on topic, which is whatever you're doing, however you help them, and that you're going to be able to give them this channel of information, not in a broadcast. I mean, YouTube is a broadcast. Instagram is a broadcast. I view Slack as a narrowcast. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have these people narrowcast into this train of thought. So what we do is we start encouraging people to join. Now we have to become involved and engaged. And that means we have to send out provocative messages on a regular basis. I'm not talking about salacious. I'm just talking about things that will stir their interest and make sure that they're aware of what's going on. Be careful how much you pitch. I mean, my primary life has been in selling, but we have to do it in a subtler way. And we have to now start getting them engaged with us.
Right. So when you're pitching, it's got to be done not from your point of view, but from the client's point of view and what they're looking to accomplish rather than what you're looking, which I guess it should be in any event, right?
Well, it should be. And I can tell you that I had a client several years ago, and he's now become like the poster child of what not to do. Guy was extremely successful guy, but he could clear a room. So there was two ways you could clear a room. You could say fire, or you could say reg. If you said reg, everybody runs out the door. And literally, I saw him with a group of people. And when they found out I was with reg, I mean, they started, crossing their arms over them. They started, getting people herded off. And what this guy did is that he couldn't have a single sentence without figuring out how to get life insurance into the conversation. And because of it, he was a pariah. So what I mean by more subtle is don't be a reg. What you want to do is if you find something, let's say you're reading something online that's important, put it onto Slack and say, by the way, I just read this. This might be something that you may not be aware of. And you put that out there and people come back and say, wow, I'm getting information that I really couldn't find any other way. Thank you for doing that.
That's pretty cool. So I guess there's other services available besides Slack?
There may be, but we've discovered that Slack seems to work for us right now. And we've been doing this experiment for 17 months thereabouts, mm-hmm. and it continues to grow. And because of that, I feel it's a real positive. It ties into, when we wrote the book, Remote Work for a Better World, we had not done the Slack thing, but we had done lots of Zoom stuff, which, by the way, we could spend a whole bunch of time about how to do Zoom badly, that's just like, just never ending. But anyway, we discovered Slack as a method for externalizing to marketplaces. And that's what I'm suggesting you may try to do.
Interesting. So externalizing, so it makes networking communication easier then, huh? Gets rid of barriers.
Gets rid of barriers. And the other thing is that I now have clients in New Zealand and Australia and Peru and all over, UK, Germany, all over the world, who now, because of Slack, they put something into Slack. They know that it's going to be seen as the group. And if I'm sitting somewhere and it pops up, I can put in an answer or not, or I can have somebody on my team put in something. But what it does, and we can put in videos, we can put in audios. The important thing is that we're reconnecting and deepening the relationship, which I think, Kerry, if we had I don't know how much time we have, but let's talk about, you have to deepen that relationship, especially today. Whenever somebody is fearful, they want to know that the relationship is going to improve. They want to know that it's going to help, and that's a big thing.
Mm-hmm. So in any business relationship, they always say, people, if you can help people avoid pain, that's a real plus. If you can help them accomplish their goals, transformation, all these things, that's a plus. So how do we renew these relationships and provide that benefit of relieving pain or some challenge that many of you out there have to face?
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Today's show is brought to you by Mustango River Resources. Their flagship projects are located in Kirkland Lake, an established gold camp that has historically produced over 70 million ounces of gold. The Kirkland West project is a high-grade gold project beside Kirkland Lake Gold's world-class Mikasa gold mine, one of the highest-grade mines in the world. The Umeja project is an advanced stage project with 600,000 plus ounces of gold along the Cadillac Break, 25 kilometers east of Mikasa. Their projects have the potential to transform into another world-class mining camp in the Kirkland Lake District. Make sure you go over to Mustango.com. That's Mistango.com. Take a look and sign up for notifications. Stock is traded on the Canadian Stock Exchange, ticker symbol MIS. For more information and to sign up for notifications, go to Mustango.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
First and foremost is you can't be afraid of the elephant in the room. If you actually work at solving problems, a specific problem for whatever you do, make sure that you tell people that this is what you do. Never force them to connect the dots. We live in a very sporadic time. They don't have time to figure this out, connect the dots and put it together. Just was talking to a coaching client earlier today, and he put out, he put something out to try to go out and recruit more people. And everybody had to connect the dots. And I said, listen, you're paying me and I'm struggling to connect the dots. So two things: acknowledge that there's an elephant in the room. And I'm not talking about the bigger global thing, but acknowledge whatever problem you're trying to solve or alleviate and talk about that and bring that up, but not the entirety of it, but a little piece of it. And then the other thing is connect dots for people. Make sure that they know how it all fits together so they don't have to sit there and say, oh, I can do this. I mean, it's a mistake to force people to have to think too much.
Yeah, well, you're basically providing a service to them, and you can't make assumptions that they're going to understand everything. In fact, you got to make assumptions that they're not going to understand, right?
Correct. Yeah. Not only are they not going to understand, they're going to probably misinterpret some of these things. So it is, I call it the rule of 100%. When you think of a normal relationship, I'm talking about, whatever you have with your spouse or your kids or your friends or whatever, you think about the fact that you're going to take up about 50% of the relationship. They're going to pick up 50% of the relationship, and it's going to go back and forth. Maybe it flexes a little bit. When you're in a business relationship, you should take 100% of the responsibility for all of the communications, and whatever you get back from the other side, bonus. But if you take up that mindset of 100%, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get people to say, wow, this person really cares, and they put a lot of things into it. This is why, probably a third of our communications through these various channels has very little to do with the exact business that we're doing, but is things that we know and have analyzed that people are interested in. So therefore, they find us as a resource that they can get information and stay engaged.
Makes complete sense. And this is a process, obviously can't be done in a day. It's going to take a lot of time, isn't it?
Well, it takes time, and I'm going to give all your listeners a simple formula, but it's not easy. I'm going to give them a simple formula. Number one is that if you have a social media, you should put at least 2 posts a week. If you have a Twitter account, you should be doing 5, 7, 10 of these a week. And the mix that I do is I have usually 30, 40% are based upon, my business. The others are based upon topics that I read and find, and I'm gathering those all the time. You should add in something that makes that matches up with your value set. So I give people a quotation every week. On Slack, we post usually 6 days a week. We put something up there. We keep putting things up there. So this is the things that you have to do to re-engage, because understand, you're trying to overcome a lot of noise that's out there. And by the way, the noise is massively negative. And because it's massively negative, it brings everybody down. So if you can find some things that you can have a little bit of fun. Example, is that they found that there's these clouds on Mars. So I did a tweet about the clouds on Mars, tongue in cheek, put in the link, and we got some comments. People said, wow, I didn't know about that. But again, I made light of it, and so it's all out there for anybody to go grab, but you have to be willing to invest that energy.
Right. So really, yeah, like you said, energy, thinking about how you're going to connect, right?
Think about how you connect. And it comes back to what I learned so many years ago when I really got better at selling, which is how many times can you touch the customer, the prospect, and then the ongoing customer? How many different ways can you touch them? What are the different things that you have to do? I'll give you an old school. I mean, we're talking really old school. And that is, we send out thank you cards to clients, handwritten thank you cards. Now, that's old school. In fact, we just sent one out to a guy who is blind. So we found out that we could send him a Braille card. I mean, how many times has that guy gotten a Braille thank you card in his life? And the point of it is it that, I'm just trying to do it just to get something out of it. I do it because it's how I stay connected. So, for $10, $20, you can go buy some cards. For a little bit of money, you can go get these things called stamps, and it takes you a little bit of time every day. And it's a great habit. And don't worry about perfect penmanship, and send these things out. And you know what happens? You start telling people that that you think that they're special, and you're demonstrating it to them. Sending a thank you email, in my mind, is a little shallow in today's day and age, isn't it?
Hey, well, snail mail is so old that it's new again. And, I've read that direct mail campaigns using regular snail mail are now getting 2 or 3 times the response conversion rate that they got 10, 20 years ago. That I find remarkable. So everything that's old is new again, and snail mail is no exception. Hey, John, people want to connect with you, find you on the web. Where do you go?
You can go to positiontowinbook.com, positiontowinbook.com. There's a bunch of free resources there. They can take the positioning test. They can also buy the book directly from me, which means I'll do an autograph and send you one of the copies of the book, which is most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Position to Win. They can also go and get the books from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and exclusively you can get on on Amazon, a Remote Work for a Better World, still running it at 99 cents. So if you want to learn how to do Zoom meetings better and actually remote work better, you can check it out there. But that's the way you get a hold of me, is positiontowinbook.com.
All right. That sounds great. We're thrilled that you came back with us, and the links are in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Just sign up for a free newsletter. By the way, if you got a question for John, just send me an email to kl@kerrylutz.com. John, again, thanks so much for coming back, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. And I wish great success to you and all of your listeners.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.